Hey, everybody, my name is John DePietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami, and welcome to the Camper Report Show.
On this Camper Report Show, Bob, we've got just about something for everyone because I'm going to be talking with the one, the only, the world famous Traveling Robert. How about you?
I've got Mark Polk, co-owner and founder of RV Education 101, and we're going to talk about consumer education.
Consumer education. So important in these days with so many new RVers. It's all coming up along with all the news of the day right here. Where, Bob?
The Camper Report Show.
Stay with us, everybody.
Sleeping on the short RV queen topper is as comfortable as sleeping at home. Now that we have the topper on there, it's made all the difference. It's really comfortable.
And the comfort comes from the fact that it's not too firm, nor is it too soft. It's kind of the right level of comfort for being out, especially when you're away from home.
And welcome back to the Camper Report Show. My name is John DePietro. Bob Zagami and I have all the news to bring to you regarding the RV industry. And we want to thank our friends at RV Business and Woodall's Campground Magazine for the headlines that we're bringing you today. Now, Bob, some businesses are happy with a 5% year over year increase. Some are ecstatic when it gets to be 10 or 15%. But you're going to talk about Thor Industries, who've got a almost 50% increase year over year. And talk about our friends over at Thor.
Yeah, they announced their earnings both for the fourth quarter and year end, and it was a blockbuster announcement. I mean, no matter what we say about how good the RV industry is and how successful everybody are, Thor just hit it out of the ballpark, out of the state, and probably out of the country. They announced a revenue of $12.32 billion. To put that in context, in their last fiscal year, they were at 8.17 billion. So to your point, almost an additional $4 billion. There are companies that would like to have $4 billion. There's companies in this industry that would like to have $4 million.
Yeah. And then it got the increase.
Their increase was $4 billion.
So when we say Thor, that's the parent company of so many popular brands. Tell us some of the brands that fall under that Thor umbrella.
Airstream, Keystone, KZ, Dutchman, just Alpine. They go on and on. There's like about 17 of them.
Yep, Tiffin.
They do it. Yeah. And that in and of itself is interesting too, because each of those probably had significant sales increases. So it's like 17 companies under one umbrella. But we know from Bob Martin's management style, he has these divisions, but he leaves them to their own places. They do their own purchasing, they do their own engineering, do their own marketing. So they, in one sense, it's nice because they compete against each other for the dollars from corporate for capital improvements and expansions. So that's
nice. So true. They do compete against each other because many of the products are somewhat similar. Each brand has its own strong point, but very interesting. And the numbers, insane. In fact, just now when you put on any radio or TV or anywhere online that you see the news of the RV industry, the boom of the RV industry, it's becoming really mainstream news. And you don't have to just hear about it here on the Camper Report Show.
Right. And, one thing that you always hear, people are always questioning the stability and the potential of the RV industry. And, quite honestly, it's truly unlimited because we have such a wide variety of product and such a depth of demographic capabilities in terms of what these people need. And proof of that is also in their financial reports. They finished the year with a 16.56 backlog of orders. So they increased sales $4 billion this year. And they got a backlog of $4 billion more for next year. And put that in perspective, that's a 190% increase in backlog orders from July 31st, 2020. So you could almost say that everything that Thor bills for the next year is probably already sold.
You're right.
The dealers need inventory, but when you have a backlog of that, that means and some of that is obviously dealer inventory that they've ordered and they want to have, come in for next year. But that's an amazing backlog for any company, and really sets the stage for the industry for the next year and future years.
After, exactly. And speaking of the year, the RV of the Year award is going to be presented again by our friends at RV Business. But you know what? They've got to do it a little bit differently this year, because normally their crew and associates would go to the big RV show in Elkhart, the open house show, and look at all these RVs that are generally made right in that neighborhood. But they can't do that because, again, for the second consecutive year, the big dealer open house is not going to happen. So our friend Rick Kessler and Sherm and Greg and all the other friends over there at RV Business, what they're doing is something very interesting. They are crowdsourcing or asking you, the audience, people that do get to RV shows and do own new RVs, to send in your recommendations of what unit should be considered for RV of the Year. Bob, that's a very interesting way to do things for an award.
Well, it is, and they kind of were forced into it because of the conditions in the marketplace this year, not having the dealer open house, not having a lot of shows during the year. And also the last 3 years, Rolling on TV had produced the TV program for the RV of the Year, and they're not doing that this year. So it's up to RV Business to find other ways to see what the input is. And I'm sure that they will take input from guys like you and I, and from consumers and other media people out there. So they need a lot of input. And we'll put that information down below, because it's a good chance for consumers to say, hey, this is the one I like.
Yeah, you can see the address down there is rkessler@rvbusiness.com.
Right.
It's a very interesting way to do it. And with all the new RVers, the new groups of RVers that are entering the RV lifestyle, it could be very interesting to see what comes out as the top winners when they announce at the end of the year. Now, What do RVers do when they buy their RV? They go to a campground. But this year, interestingly, the winner of one of the industry awards for campground design doesn't take RVs. Talk about who the winner is.
The winner is
campground that doesn't take RVs. That should be our headline. Right. Campground without RVs.
It's the new KOA division, Terramore Resorts, and it's the facility up here in right near Acadia National Park, and it's been open almost 2 years now, year and a half. But they won the 17th annual Hospitality Design Awards, and that's quite an achievement, because it's a concept that they come out with and that they're testing out. I think we'll see a lot more of them as glamping continues on the rise. In fact, there'll be a show out in Denver this week, 5th and 6th, the Glamping USA show. Yep. So it is a market unto itself. It's underneath that hospitality. And in fact, it's a great way for people to get out to do some RVing without the RV, and then go out and buy an RV.
Well, and you know what? It's a totally new audience. And I looked at the price point that they were looking at, and I said, oh, they'll never get that. But then I realized that most of the summer was sold out every night. And, in Maine, they've got an April to October season. So they only got 6 months to pay for bills year round. But the beauty of it is that there's no big giant swimming pool area or playground and that type of thing. It really is serene, and it really is quiet. And we've gone up there. In fact, the funny thing is, when we went to check the place out 2 summers ago, when they had just opened, I had trouble backing my RV into the parking lot, because it's designed for cars. And again, another venture from KOA, and a winning venture as well. And we want to wish Whitney Scott and all our friends at KOA the highest congratulations on that award.
Wouldn't you have loved to hear the conversation in the office as they looked out the window and saw you pulling up with an RV?
Oh,
saying, well, where does this guy think he's going to go?
The only thing crazier than that is if I pulled up with a giant 40-foot toy hauler and tried to get out of there because
You
I
probably
wouldn't
wouldn't have been able to turn it around.
But you know what? I think all the news of the week just really shows again the growth of the industry, the diversification of the industry, and the fact that America can't get enough of RVing.
That's it. Another great year. Another great year, and looking forward to another one.
Yeah, but they've got enough news, and now let's send them to our two features of the week right here. Where, Bob?
The Camper Report Show.
I'm Jesse from Outsiders Calling, and I love adventurous family travel with my wife Jenny and our son Tucker.
For over 3 years, we've RV'd across the U.S. and Mexico, and it's tough to find places that meet all our needs.
Now we plan our trips with the RV Trip Wizard, pull it up in the RV Life app, select it, and go.
It helps us discover amazing new places to grow together as a family.
RV Trip Wizard with the RV Life app is an awesome trip planning combination.
You can get both for one low annual price. Check out rvlife.com to learn more.
All right, welcome back everybody to the Camper Report Show. Today my guest is Mark Polk, co-founder along with his wife Dawn for RV Education 101 back in 1999. Can you believe you've been doing this stuff for 22 years, pal?
No, I can't. And can you believe that you were the first one to ever interview us back in 1999?
That's right. I was writing for the original RV News, and Don McGarry said, hey, why don't you go up to North Carolina? These two kids are starting a company. It sounds pretty good. And in fact, we did a double header that day because Rob was there, Rob Engman from, was it?
RVTV.
Yeah, RVTV. He was from Canada. And I drove down or flew down, I forget, but we did the very first interview with you in the media.
Yep. Now here we sit 22 years later.
And I haven't counted all the ones that we've done between 1999 and 2021 either. I bet I had hair back then too.
Yeah. Well, I bet I had more hair back then than I do today.
Well, that goes with the territory. You know, let's talk about 1999 because you and Don had just started the company. Give the folks that may not know or may not have heard of RV Education 101, which is the leading consumer education training company in our industry today, 22 years later. Give a little history and how you get into this crazy business.
Well, after I retired from the Army, I started selling RVs for a dealership in North Carolina, and I think the owner saw the potential I had from my military experience, and she promoted me, to this position, like overseeing the service department. Then she made me the sales manager and F&I manager. So I was selling a lot of RVs back then. And when we would sell an RV, we'd give the new owner a walkthrough orientation of how to use the RV. And I was actually doing those walkthroughs myself. So I felt like I was giving them a really thorough class on how to use it. What was happening though, when they would take delivery and then take the unit home, either that same day or maybe the next day, I would get phone calls and they would ask me, what did you say about the water heater, or where am I supposed to plug this in at, or what am I supposed to do with this? And I thought, man, this is not good. People aren't retaining the information from those walkthroughs. So I started looking around to see if there was something that the dealership could maybe gift to the new owners and say, hey, take this and this will help you with using the RV. And I found out there was really nothing out there. So I had this idea about putting the walkthrough into like a video format and actually giving them, back then, Bob, it was a VHS tape we were giving them. That tells you how long ago it was. So we would, we could give them that VHS tape and say, hey, whenever you need a refresher or you forgot something, just go take a look at this and it'll serve to remind you how to use it. And that's how this all came about.
It's a great story because you're right. When people buy their RV, whether it's their first one or their 10th one, when they go to pick it up, the last thing they want to hear is anybody tell them anything. They just don't,
Yeah. They're
absorb.
excited.
They don't absorb half of it. They want to get out on the road. They want to get to the campground, and then the fun begins because they forget everything.
That's right.
So you documented that, and from there you went to DVDs and books, and now you have online streaming. Talk about the success of the RV book.
Okay. The way that came about, back in the early 2000s, I would say, I started writing ebooks, and that ebooks were a new thing back then. And, a lot of people were still on dial-up internet connections. And so when I would write an ebook, I had to keep that book to 1 megabyte in size or less, so people could download it or, read it when they signed on the internet. And now look at what we're doing today. But anyway, the way that happened was I ended up writing 14 different ebooks on various RV topics. And one day, Dawn and I were talking, and she said, if you combined all 14 of those ebooks and put it in the correct type of order, you would have a really nice book. And that's exactly what I did. I organized it into a book that was easy to understand, and it was thorough. It taught people how to use their RVs. They can carry the book with them. And, back when I did this, a publisher told me, I self-published the book, but I was talking to a publisher, and they said for a self-help type book, a how-to book, if you sell 5,000 copies, they consider that a success. And today, we're in the 7th edition, and we just went over 55,000 copies.
That's, and that's testimony to the value of the information that's in the book and what you've collected along the way. I think one of the most exciting things you've done in all of this time that I've had the pleasure of working with you and Dawn is your new online streaming courses. Because when we look at the industry today, the number of new people entering it, 50% of our new buyers post-COVID are brand new RVers. They've never owned an RV. They've never been in a campground. And we see it all the time on forums and the Facebook pages. They ask questions, and it's got to kill you. And I shudder at it because I see so much information that is wrong. The people are well intentioned, but they're not trained. They don't have a service background. They don't have an RV background, and in many cases, they put people at risk with poor information. So explain the importance of the online training and why you feel this is so important in today's marketplace.
Well, the online training evolved from what I mentioned earlier, from VHS tape, and then we went to DVD, and then that evolved to our online training platform where you just pick out what course you want, hit a button, and the training is right in front of you on your computer, your laptop, your phone, whatever type of device you have. But all of our content has been vetted for years and years and years. We update our content about every 5 to 7 years because things on RVs change, and we want to make sure that we're providing the most current information available to the new buyer. But the nice thing about the online training is, number one, you're getting qualified RV content that you can trust. And number two is you have access to that wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. So let's say that you put your RV in storage and it sits there for 4 months, and then you go to take it out of storage and you can't remember exactly what you're supposed to do to get it ready to go camping. If you purchased our preventive maintenance video course, you can just go in there and sanitize the water system, go through, check the tires, check the batteries, check the roof, do everything you need to do to prep it for the new camping season. So it makes it so easy for people, and they have lifetime rights to the training. So, I mean, I don't know how much simpler it can get than just having, as long as you have an internet connection, you have access to the training.
And I kid you all the time about that because I know how much work went into the preparation, and I know the years of experience that you've had between the military and your RV career. And I always tell you that you can probably sell these for a whole lot more money than you do, but give us your philosophy on why you have priced it so cost effective for the consumer.
Well, Dawn and I have discussed that many, many times, and you're not the only one that's told us. Everybody tells us. They say you could sell these courses for $300-400 if you wanted to. That's not our goal. Our goal is to keep people into the RV lifestyle and make training available to everybody. Anybody that wants the training. Our philosophy is we want to be there for you until you don't need us anymore. So to be able to do that, we want to price our products to where they're affordable. So you can purchase a $44 video course that will teach you everything about your type A, type B, type C motorhome, fifth wheel, or travel trailer. And then if you want to expand on that, we offer sets. So we compile sets. Like say you own a travel trailer. So you want to know how to use the travel trailer. You want to know how to tow the travel trailer. You want to know how to maintain it. You want to know how to winterize it and store it. So we have these sets that you can go in. There's a 5 set, a 6 set, a 9 set. So it depends on the consumer and how much they want to learn, but we make it available at a very affordable price.
Yep, you do. And also, like you say, at different levels. So depending upon what the people need based on their own experiences. Two of your more popular ones, I'm guessing, are probably the walkthrough, the orientation, which is still valid. It'll always be valid, and also preventive maintenance, because we all know that a lot of the things people take their units to a dealer for, they can probably do themselves if they're mechanically inclined. So talk briefly about those two courses and why they're so important.
Well, the first one you mentioned, the orientation, is basically taking that dealer walkthrough that we discussed earlier and putting it into video format. So it goes through all the systems on the RV, how to use them, how to maintain them. And then we also include when you actually arrive at the campsite and you need to set the camper up. So we go through all the steps of setting it up at the campsite and then using the RV. So like you said, that can come in handy next season after it's been in storage and you forget how to use the water heater or the furnace. All you have to do is go back to the orientation and refresh yourself on that. But then what we found out was, after you purchase an RV, the consumer has to accept partial responsibility for maintaining that piece of equipment. I mean, you can't expect to just get in it and go and never have to do anything to it. So that's where in the military, I was taught preventive maintenance, which I think is the most valuable thing I can pass on to RV owners is preventive maintenance. In other words, let's look at a quick example. If you can identify a problem early on, chances are you can save time and money by fixing it in the early stages as opposed to waiting until it gets more serious. So just for a quick example, if you're doing your pre-trip checks and you notice one of your tires is low on air, all you have to do is add air, get the proper amount for the load that's on the tire, and go about your business. But if you don't catch that and you're traveling down the road and that tire is heating up, there's a good chance that you'll have a blowout. Then you're stranded alongside the interstate. It's going to take valuable time out of your vacation and cost a lot of money to fix it. So everything I teach is preventive maintenance. And if the owner, can learn how to take care of their batteries, their tires, get up on the roof and make sure that you don't have any chance of water penetrating any of the seals and things. And if you don't feel comfortable doing this work yourself, then it's just you have to find somebody, a reputable service facility that can do it for you. So,
and it at least reminds them that there are things that have to be done to the RV, whether they do it or a dealer or an independent mobile tech does it, it just reminds them that, hey, it's that time of year, you got to do certain things.
Yes.
Our guest this morning has been Mark Polk, who, along with his wife Dawn, co-founded RV Education 101 back there in 1999. Mark, you've done fantastic with it, and hopefully with all these new buyers and everybody watching the Camper Report Show, will introduce you to a whole nother generation of RVers. Any closing comments?
No, I appreciate your comments, and all I would say is the training is available at rvonlinetraining.com.
Mike here from RV Blogger. Don't waste hundreds of dollars on an external GPS for your RV. All you need to do is download the RV Life app right onto your phone. This app is so cool. It has RV GPS built right into it. So you can load all the specific measurements and weights for your RV. It'll give you directions safe for your RV to follow. And by the way, if you have RV Trip Wizard, directions for your trips upload into this GPS automatically.
We are here with an RV legend. Is that what you told me to say?
You are the RV legend.
You are the RV legend. We are with, I'm Stagnant John, and he is Traveling Robert. And Robert,
Hey.
you are all over the place. In fact, we're here at an RV show, and people walk the aisle and say, hey, I know you. Can I have my picture taken with you? I think that they were menting. There's a good word for it.
Yeah.
They meant to take it with me, but you were next to them, so they didn't want you to make you feel bad.
I know. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
So, you got a new RV.
Yes, I
and
did.
you're traveling all over the place. These days, where is Traveling Robert traveling to?
Well, eventually, right now, I'm at the RV show. We're, of course, at the Hershey RV show, and I do at least 2 RV shows a year, but I'm going to New England. I've been to Maine, sort of, but I've never been to New England, and especially this time of the year that I'm going, it's fall.
Right.
So I hear
And what do you see?
I hear it's going to be spectacular colors.
Stuff that you don't see in Miami.
No, we never do that.
Or Florida.
No.
Or Georgia. No. Or South Carolina.
Well, South
Maybe.
Carolina gets a little
Maybe.
bit in the mountains.
Maybe.
Yeah, they do.
That's right.
They have the Blue
Out
Ridge
in the
Parkway,
mountains.
but I hear it's not as vibrant as the colors are supposed
when
to
you
be.
come up there, we'll take you, if you come to Maine, we'll take you for lobster and that type of
Oh,
thing.
lobster.
Lobster.
They say lobster.
Yeah.
Where you are, no lobster. I'm going to mispronounce it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Either way. But the lobster in Maine is real lobster, not that stuff down in the South Atlantic that's crawfish that they call.
Yeah, it's a large crawfish, right?
A large crawfish, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what we have, Florida lobster down there, yeah.
So when you come to an RV show, what do you look for?
Of course, I'm looking for whatever is new in the industry, and every year it ebbs and flows, the innovation, and there's always something new. I come also for the community more than anything, to meet people like you in person. Like we've met before many times
on the phone,
or Skype
camera,
or Zoom. And to meet with I'm a Winnebago brand ambassador, so I like to meet with them, touch base in person, and to see everything, and then come into the suppliers building too. Like I just met the folks from RV Life, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So what have you seen so far that is impressing you, that is new?
What I'm seeing as a trend, and it's been a coming trend, but it was a more DIY trend in years past, is electrification. Everybody is kind of switching, not everybody, but many people are switching to lithium batteries.
Yeah.
They're putting large inverters in those rigs, solar panels, because they notice a lot of people like to be more able to dry camp for longer periods of time without having to fire up a generator or eventually, hooking up to an RV park. So I've seen that a lot. I've seen it when I was working on something like that. Keystone has a new fifth wheel that comes.
Lots of solar.
Yeah, lots of solar and inverters and batteries pre-installed from the factory.
Pre-installed.
Yes, because a lot of times, a lot of these rigs, the dealer does that final part.
They're set up, but
the
owner has to do all that.
Yeah, the dealer puts in the battery, and then the owner, as I did with my first rig, I had to do the solar. I had to learn. I taught myself how to do it, and I put the solar myself. But nowadays, a lot of manufacturers installing that from at the factory level.
Okay. And as you look at the crowds, what are you seeing as far as demographics? Because as I look around, I see it getting much younger. And today is a weekday.
Yes.
So, you know, you're not going to see families with little kids, but a lot of young people,
Absolutely.
right?
The first time I went to an RV show, which was probably 10 years ago at this point, it was more the older retired crowd that wanted to full time in a 45-foot Class A diesel pusher. And I see a lot more families, especially after the pandemic. A lot of people, you know, realize that it's better to vacation outdoors, and a lot of people, even friends of mine, you know, people that I know, family that have bought a used camper, you know, it's probably the least expensive way to get into it as well. You get a small camper, you pull it with your SUV, your truck, and travel the country and see so many things. And it's definitely a
Here's a young family right here.
There you go. Yeah. Exactly.
Hey, young family. Young family, come here. Young family, come on over here, young family. We're doing a little video interview. Come here, you're a young family. Come here. Come here, buddy. Is he okay to be on? Okay. Tell us your name. Tell that me.
Bobby Jr.
Bobby Jr. Bobby, where are you from?
I'm from Kentucky.
Kentucky?
Yes.
Go Wildcats, right? Right? So, are you buying an RV?
Yes.
Yeah. And is Traveling Robert your idol?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And did you come here alone, or are you here with your parents?
Here.
Oh, okay. Next year you'll be here on your own, right? Okay. What's it say on your back? Blue Water. Well, wait a minute. They're a friend of ours. Blue Water, ladies and gentlemen. Blue Water Development. Have you been to any of their places?
Not yet.
Oh, you got to go there. Their booth is right there. So, have a good day. And don't talk to strangers. Ladies and gentlemen, that is an example, Traveling Robert, of the new breed of family that's coming into RVing.
Definitely. So a lot of people are also able to work from the road now. A lot
Right.
of people, you know, despite, again, the pandemic, a lot of people started working from home, and they realize as long as I have internet, you know, you are able to work. And a lot of that new breed of full-timers who are not the retired families, couples.
Great. So
Empty nesters.
we know that you've got to go do one of these broadcast things and attract thousands of people.
Yes, I'm trying to do at least one live stream every day here from the RV show, and show people and ask people what they want to see, because that's where I get my ideas for content too. You know, what you want me to go into the big rigs, into the trailers, into the pop-ups, whatever people want to see.
Great. That's the story. He's Traveling Robert. I'm John DePietro. This is the Camper Report Show. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.